So, hey, and welcome back to the Successful Marketing Summit. This is part 2 of my interview with Sabah Ali. Thank you so much, Sabah, for being here with us and talking about Instagram and how you can become an Instagram queen or king or prince or whatever you want to. So I'll leave the reins over to you, Sabah. Take it away.
Yeah, so I'm so excited about this training. It specifically focuses on how to build and scale your brand within the Instagram platform. So once again, like Instagram is so popular nowadays, so you should be using it. So I'll just be walking through like the fundamentals on how to really, audit your profile, make it super clean and sleek. So when people actually land on your profile, all they want to do is actually hit follow. So we'll go more into detail about that. But yeah, I'm super stoked.
Thank you. Go ahead.
What's going on, guys? Sabah Ali here. I'm super stoked to do this training for you guys. Pretty much a little bit of background about me. I'm a best-selling author, a TEDx speaker, Instagram and branding strategist, and most of all, I create unforgettable lives. So what does that mean? Basically, I teach, entrepreneurs, business owners how to actually brand themselves online, specifically using the Instagram platform, because I found that it is one of the easiest ways to grow an audience online. So basically in this training, I'm going to walk through how to actually build up a personal brand using storytelling. Storytelling, I found, is literally the top way to build a very good, authoritative, strong brand, especially in the online space nowadays. There's so many people online doing practically the same thing as you because, like, to be honest, believe it or not, you can find all the information that you're teaching that I'm teaching right now online. However, like on Google, if you search it. However, what really, differentiates you from all those other people doing the same thing is number one, kind of your spin off of things, kind of, what makes you unique, unforgettable in your specific niche and industry. Number two, the actual story that you're telling. Then number three, how you're actually, positioning yourself within the online space. I'm super stoked. I'm going to be teaching you guys pretty much the 3 basic outlines of how to build a brand on Instagram. So we're going to be walking through your brand and your story, how to actually create content. And then number 3, how to actually grow on Instagram and grow, at an organic rate to bring in, that ideal audience that you want to really be impacting and influencing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and share with you guys some PDFs, some, strategies and everything that I've built out to visually show you guys how you can do this too. And I'm going to go on Instagram to show you guys my profile. So, if you are on this end watching the video, you can actually go back and implement every single thing that I will be going over. So let me share my screen right here. All right, guys, so now you guys can see my screen. The first thing that I want to walk through is how to actually build out your storyline when you're building out your brand and your messaging and positioning. The reason why this is once again so important is because when you're sharing your story, this is how you're actually connecting with your audience. When someone is starting to build up a personal brand online, if you're posting content, they're sharing videos, what's going to happen is cold audiences are going to see it on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever you're actually distributing the content. However, the one thing that a lot of people miss when they're actually branding themselves is making that connection with the audience. Like how can that person on the other side of your phone resonate with what it is that you're actually talking about? So what I'm showing here to you guys is my strategy behind how I actually build out my story and how I present it on the online space. And so this is an overview that I just pretty much, built out. This is actually a PDF that I gave away for free. And it was called 3-Part Storyline that landed me on TV. But basically, I want to walk you guys through the process. So what it says here, stories are literally the backbone of every single business and brand out there. And mainly for you guys that are wanting to build out your personal brands, it goes back to who you were, in the past, that transformational point that you went through to get to where you're at right now. Because each and every one of us, we didn't get to this point by, just magically getting there. Something occurred in our storyline, our journey in the, past that actually got us here. So basically, when you're actually crafting out your storyline, there's 3 parts that you need to be focusing on. The first one is identifying the old you. So who were you before you were, Miss or Mr. Rockstar on social media? Who were you? for me, that's my story when I was in high school. I was actually a very, very shy person. And I lost my mom when I was 15. I was in a terrible 4-year toxic relationship and I was extremely introverted. And overall, I didn't have a good self esteem. I was at one of the lowest points in my life, believe it or not. And that was me. That was like the old me. I didn't think that I'd be able to accomplish all my dreams of, becoming like a fashion designer, everything that I want to do in the past. So that right there, that was kind of like my old story. There was a lot of pain points that I had. I lacked self-confidence. I was in like a terrible mental state because I was in a bad relationship. I lost my mom. Those are all pain points that someone in your audience may be at right now, or maybe they were in the past. And then you go into identifying what your transformational point was. For me, that was when I went to college and I met one of my mentors when I was 19 years old. And that was when I really got introduced into entrepreneurship. That kind of changed my perspective in surrounding myself with the right type of people. Because in reality, back in high school, I was just around the wrong type of people, and I didn't have people pushing me to become more than what I could be doing at the time. So that was kind of my transformational story. You could see that there is something in my story that sparked, a different reaction and like aha moment to actually change my route and what I was doing. This is a great part where you need to, position yourself as, oh, like I found that one thing, or those like multiple small things that I took the initiative to change in my life. And this is super important. Some people miss when they're creating content or building out their brand and story is because the other person that's reading your story, watching your video, listening to you on a video or speaking on stages, this is something that they need to be thinking about doing in order to get to the point where it's the new you, where you're at right now, which goes into, okay, this is the new you. Now I'll actually scroll down so you guys can see this. So the new you is actually highlighting like your success story. Who are you now? What is it that you're doing? Like, why is your story so impactful? And before you guys, reach out to me or you're telling yourself in your head, like, oh my gosh, Sabah, I don't have a story. Yeah, you do. When I first met my mentor when I was 19, I didn't think I had a story either, but I did. I really did. All you have to do is go back, to your journey, your past, and think about how you grew up. And, maybe you grew up in an average lifestyle. You didn't really have any problems or conflicts, but that could be something, that really triggered you. You're like, you know what? I don't want to be normal. I don't want to live an average lifestyle and just go to college, graduate, and get a job. So that was kind of like your trigger, and maybe like a book, a person, a video inspired you to actually take a different route and a different action. So I want to walk through this briefly once again so you guys can see what it is I'm talking about. So when you're building out your storyline, and before I jump into this, the storyline you can use for a lot of different things. Pitching yourself to different, news features, using this to actually create a good content, which is what we're going to be going into next. Your brand story. A lot of people, they don't have like actual brand story that they can use to put on their websites, their landing pages, X, Y, and Z. So you can be using this in a lot of different ways. And so the first portion is define the old you. So you need to choose an experience in the past where you were at your low point. So remember, like what I said, for my experiences when I was in high school. So typically this is where, most of your audience is going to relate to. This is where they're at right now. And once again, it focuses on where you were at in the past. Then you want to define your transformation you. So choose an experience in the past where you came to an epiphany moment. For me, that was college when I met one of my mentors. So this is kind of like your aha, or like your wake up call in which you really committed in making a change in your life or in your business or in your relationship, whatever niche or industry that you're in. And then the second or the third part is define the new you. So this is your most recent and your most present experience right now. So you could say, this is your success story in a sense. Like, how did you get to this point? Like, who are you now and what do you represent? For me, once again, I create unforgettable lives, truly, in business, lives, and relationships. I do it professionally with my, when I help people build up their brand and influence, but then I also teach people how to, think for themselves and build that self-resilience and confidence within them to actually go out and attain everything that they want to be doing. And so this right here pretty much covers how to define and identify and build out your story and your storyline. The next thing I want to go into is how to actually use this storyline to create a really, really good piece of content. So I'm going to click over to this tab right here. And this is actually my signature post formula. So if you actually follow me and if you go through any of my posts, I always follow this formula. Why? Because it works really well for engagement, targeting my ICA, and actually, bringing in the loyal audience that I want to be, working with and having a good relationship with. So I'm going to break down step by step how to use this post formula and how you guys can actually create a piece of content right after you're done watching this training. So pretty much the post formula is broken down into different acronyms, and it stands for, the P is for position, the O is for objective, the S is for story, and the T is for takeoff. So the P is for positioning. These are like the first 1 or 2 sentences of your copy to really grab the attention of your audience. So this is attention grabbing opening. It can be anything from like a provocative statement, a quote, or question, but this is really the most important part of the piece of content that you're creating, because as your audience is scrolling through either Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever, it really has to capture their attention. So this, I keep it fairly short, like maybe just a sentence or 2 long, and I'll show you guys an example after this. But yeah, this is anything to really grab that attention, to really make someone stop and read the rest of your post. The second portion of this is objective. So this is pretty much the purpose of the post. Like, why are you creating the post, and why should someone continue reading the rest of your copy? And this is pretty much like describing the position that you had. So the attention grabbing opening that you had. So I'll show you guys an example once again after I go through this. The third thing is the story. So remember, just a few minutes ago, we were talking about how to actually build that story. This is where you actually resonate with your audience. So you tell your story. By no means does it have to be a long entire story. It can even just be bits of pieces of your story. You share your experience and you make it relatable to your audience. This is super, super key, because as they're reading your copy, looking at your picture, looking at your video, this is where they're like, oh my goodness, I can actually relate to this person. Maybe I'll like this post or drop a comment, or maybe I'll follow this person because I love what they're talking about. So you don't want to miss this step at all. It's very, very powerful to be sharing your story and identifying, different emotions that your audience can be relating to. And the last part of it is T, which is takeoff. This is pretty much your call to action. You want to end it powerfully, and you want to ask your audience to engage with you, whether it's a bold statement, another question, telling them to drop a comment or tag somebody, or a combination of both. A lot of my posts, I actually ended with asking a question, telling them to drop a comment, or sending me a direct message, depending on whatever it is that I'm creating. So I want to show you guys an example. So this is just a picture that I used for this specific example, which is a while back actually. But this is the long form copy that I created. So you can see the P in the beginning is, if you don't find what fulfills you, the achievement is worthless. That's a very bold statement. Like, I think that's also a quote. If someone's scrolling through Instagram and they read that, they're like, what do you mean? Like, I'm curious about what she's talking about. And then it goes into the objective. So why am I actually creating that? So then it goes into, please read that again. Why? Question mark. Because you need to find a driving factor that is more than just money, materialistic things, and living an average life that has no purpose. Please believe me when I say that you need to find more of a meaning to the work that you do every day. Do not settle for a mediocre life because you think that's all you can do right now. So did you see how I was pretty much just objectifying this statement that I just made? Just a little bit more copy to further bring your audience in, to make sure they continue reading your copy. And then goes into the As My Story. I have been in that place before where I lived day by day with zero meaning, no destination, no end goal, nothing. I am far from the goals I want to accomplish in my lifetime. However, one thing that I'm certain about is my vision and meaning and what I want to leave in the world. So right here, the story was fairly short, but it was just like one little piece that someone reading it would be like, oh my goodness, I'm at that place right now where I wake up in the morning and I go to my job and my 9 to 5 and I don't have any meaning. Like I know that I can be doing more. I just don't know what, or I don't know how to. And that could, did you see like what just happened right there is emotional connection that I just connected by simply making that statement. And then it goes into, the last part, which is the T, call to action, or like a bullet statement. For this one, I said, you have much more to live for than what you're currently doing. Do not live an average lifestyle. Be unforgettable. So for this specific example, it was a bold statement. If you want to add a call to action, you would be like, tag someone below who wants to see this. How are you currently living your life? Any sort of question to ask your audience to engage on it. Because I see this mistake all the time is people are making great posts, but they aren't leaving a call to action to actually ask their followers to engage with them. So this is literally the formula that I use to create all the pieces of content that I put out, and something that really, really does work because you're touching on all of these different aspects of creating a piece of copy, a piece of content, and it does work really, really well. And so I now kind of want to shift gears. We went over how to create your storyline, how to create a good piece of content. I want to shift gears a little bit and show you guys how to actually use your brand, your content to actually grow your personal brand on Instagram. And I'm going to walk you guys through my signature style method on how to actually grow on Instagram. So as we go through this, I'm going to be going back and forth to actually show you on Instagram how I do this for myself. So I have another acronym called STYLE. As you can tell, I love to use acronyms. But pretty much it goes through the 5 things, the 5 key things that you need to be focusing on if you truly, truly want to be growing an authentic, real, branded Instagram account. So the first thing is like your actual signature look. So this really lies under your brand, your identity, your positioning, and also your story. So in order to really differentiate yourself from everybody else on Instagram, you need to really be focusing on how you're visually presenting yourself. So for an example, let me pull up my Instagram. So this really has to do with visually when someone lands on your account, what do they see? You can see on mine, my username is clear. It says the Sabah Ali, so it's very easy to find. Has my first last name, a good clean, clear profile picture, and it specifically states what I do in my bio. I help entrepreneurs create profitable brands on IG, Instagram by consulting and marketing. Featured on NBC, ABC, CBS. Brand is everything, TEDx Talk, and then a link to my recent TEDx Talk. So the bio is literally the main thing that you guys really need to be focusing on, aside from a good picture and a username. But your bio should consist of like four parts, 3 to 4 parts. The first part should clearly identify what it is you do and why someone should follow you. I clearly stated what it is that I do. And then I went into the second portion of my bio, which is kind of like a credibility factor. There says, featured on NBC, ABC, CBS. So maybe a lot of people online, they help people to build up personal brands, but I've actually been featured on these different platforms. So that gives like another incentive for someone who lands on my account to actually follow me. And then like kind of the third portion of it is actual direct call to action. Previously, I had another link up, but recently I made a post about my TEDx Talk. So I directed them to a link to my recent TEDx Talk video. For you guys, that might be a link to an opt-in page to give away a free freebie. It might be a link to just like a sales page. Maybe it might be a link to schedule and call to book a free call with you. So anything, just make sure you actually have a call to action. So once again, when someone lands on your account, they're not just, clicking the follow button. They have another reason and means and ways to connect with you. So now I want to go into is the key target market. So this is basically where you're going to be finding your ideal audience on Instagram. There's a lot of different ways that you can be searching on Instagram to find where your ideal follower is and start engaging with them. So how to do this is you can just simply do a simple keyword search. So if you're in the fitness industry, I use that example a lot. So you just type in fitness, and then you can literally scroll through different hashtags that are under there or just accounts. and start following and engaging on their stuff. What happens is with Instagram, the Instagram algorithm picks up what type of accounts that you're following, and they start driving, more posts of your posts and more of other people's posts to your discovery page. Since I'm on my laptop, you can't actually see the discovery page, but I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Instagram, and pretty much it's just like the search bar right here, which I just pulled up for you guys. But basically, this is how you do a little bit of target market research to actually get in front of the right type of people, start engaging with their stuff, and then, eventually people see that you're engaging and they'll engage back. The third part of it is your content. So basically, I just went over the portion of how to actually create good branded content. I'll show you guys a few more examples of my own, and just to guys give you a justification of how to actually create good branded content. One thing to keep in mind is you want to be making your account cohesive. Therefore, if you're in the fitness industry and you're posting content about cats and dogs, people are going to get super confused about what it is that you do. So do not post irrelevant content. If you want a personal account just for yourself and for your family and friends, by no means, have one. But for your business and for your actual brand that you're growing, make sure you're posting content that's relevant. And so this is a great post. I got a lot of engagement on. Why 99% of the pictures I post are of me. That's a super, super like, whoa, why does she always post pictures of herself? Like, that's the attention grabbing statement. Goes into actually a very long form piece of copy. And for this specific one, I was actually teaching my audience something. So it's not letting me scroll down right now. But I was teaching my audience why you should be having your face in your pictures, because it's like face recognition, and your audience resonates more with actual like face and eyes. So if you're posting like quotes and just stock images, it's less likely that your audience is going to relate to you, because they don't see a person there. They don't think they can get to that point because they don't, relate to a quote per se, like visually speaking. So that's specifically, why I made this piece of content. But getting sidetracked a little bit here. But let's pull up another one so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So this was an actual educational piece of content. So this actual piece of content is talking about how to create content, which I'll walk you guys through too. There's different ways to create pieces of content. I usually have them in 3 different buckets: informational, educational, and inspirational. Informational meaning you're creating a piece of content that is helpful for the audience, whether that's, authoritative piece of information, something that you know about your business, something that's testimonials, results, anything to show that you're of authority and you know what it is that you're talking about within your actual industry. Number 2, it's educational. So this is kind of like how-tos and teaching people something through a video or a post. And ideally, these are something that your audience can read, take away, and implement in their business brand right now to get an instant result. So that way, they're building such a good relationship and trust with you, because just by reading your piece of content or watching your video, they can get a quick win just like that. And the third piece is inspirational. This is mainly, sharing more of your story and telling them, you can be doing this too. And you can be getting fit too. You can be making more money. You can be, traveling the world if that's what it is that you're doing. So that pretty much covers your content. Number 4 is leverage hashtags. So hashtags are a great way to get your posts in front of, a lot more people on Instagram. What I love to do is I love to search hashtags. So for me, one of the key hashtags that I use is entrepreneur. You get a max of 30 hashtags per post. And what I do is I use all 30 and I put all 30 in the comments right after I make a post. Basically, how you find what hashtags to use is you literally just go to a specific hashtag like entrepreneur and do some research on which different hashtags there are. So once again, since I'm on my laptop, you can't see like related hashtags. But let me actually pull up my phone to see if you guys can see it on here. But basically, it's a super easy way to do hashtags and find related hashtags within your actual niche and within your actual industry. Okay, so right here, hopefully you guys can see it. So I just typed in entrepreneur. Right below, you guys can see the related hashtags like right over here. So when you're doing hashtag research, you can scroll and find a bunch of related hashtags within that category. And right here, you see that it has entrepreneur has 47.6 million posts on there. When I'm doing my hashtag research and coming up with my 30 hashtags that I want to use, I try to bucket out 10 hashtags that land between like the 100,000 mark, 10 hashtags that land between like the 1 million mark, and 10 hashtags that land between like the 1 million plus mark. The reason why you're categorizing it in that way is because you want to reach audiences at a different level. There's a way to, land your post in the actual discovery page. So like this page right here. And if you're just starting out, depending on how many followers you have, the more you categorize the hashtags, the more likely you're going to, land on these pages. So let's choose a smaller hashtag right now. So let's do goal setting. Okay, so that's actually a lot. So goal setting 2019. So this only has 13,000 posts. Probably not a good one to use right now, but it's more likely that someone's going to land on this page with only like a few hundred likes. So right now, if you have maybe, I don't know, let's just say you have 5,000 followers. If you put your hashtags that are all, in like the million category, it's going to be really, really hard for you to rank in discovery. However, if you break it down within those, 3 categories, it helps you a lot better with the algorithm to get a lot of people to engage on your actual stuff in your posts. So that's a little bit of research, you can do with hashtags. There's a lot of different platforms that I use to help me with hashtag research. One good one is Social Info. I use that. You can actually just type in a few hashtags and they generate for you. There's also a lot of other free websites that you can be using, but definitely test and try to see. Definitely do use hashtags, because if you don't, the only people that are going to be seeing your posts are the people that are following you. So once again, it'll be a lot slower for you to grow if you're not using hashtags. And then the last portion of this is E, which is engage audience. So you need to still respond to your audience, engage on other people's stuff, to be active on Instagram, because once again, Instagram notices how active that you are. One great way to do this is using the story feature. I absolutely love it. If you guys aren't familiar with it, literally it's just the same thing as Snapchat, but it's on Instagram up here. And pretty much I use it as my own reality TV show. Like seriously, people love to see the background of your lifestyle. And that's such a great way to build a stronger relationship with your followers. You can show them what it is that you're doing every day. You can provide them with value. If you're in the fitness industry, once again, you can show them that you're working out, different workouts that you're doing, different meal plans. Once you hit 10,000 followers, there's actually a way to use like the swipe up method on the story feature. So you can actually link them to like a website or opt-in or something that you're selling. So, they don't have to take an additional step to go on your account and go to the link in your actual bio. So engage with your audience. When people are leaving comments on your posts, definitely respond back. This is how people are actually going to be following you when you are, trying to build up your account on Instagram. And so this was a lot that I just went through. So hopefully this made sense to you guys. There is one last thing that I wanted to kind of briefly go through to actually show you guys to monetize your Instagram account. And I actually just created this not too long ago. I was showing this to one of my clients because they wanted to learn more about how they can be monetizing their Instagram. So I want to briefly just go over this because I want to show you guys how ultimately you can be monetizing your Instagram account. So we're going to start literally on this end right here. I was using my hand. Let's use my mouse. This end right here, which is where your follower is actually going to be starting and where they're going to see your content. So this is like step one. They either see you by an Instagram paid ad, a post, or one of your stories. So first of all, with the paid ad, you can direct them to either a landing page or the link in your bio. So for this specifically, if you're just starting out, by no means you have to do paid ads, but if you're definitely scaling, you can be running ads to direct people to your account to take a look at it, direct them to the link in your bio, or you can directly direct them to a landing page. The second part is an actual post. So once again, if people are scrolling through Instagram, through different hashtags, they come across your post, they're like, oh my gosh, who is this? If you have really good copy, which you should have, there should be a call to action. And one of those call to actions can be, hey, go to my link in the bio, go to like my link in the bio in my account to download this freebie or to book a free call with me. So your post directly links to a link in the bio. It can't directly link to a landing page because there's not a way to actually put in a URL in your copy on Instagram. So pretty much it'll just be a call to action to the link in the bio. The story feature is literally the best way to monetize or to get people and drive traffic towards, opt-in page or a funnel. Is once again, if you have 10,000 followers, you can use the swipe up method to directly land people to a landing page, or you can direct them to a link in the bio. This story feature is amazing because you're literally talking to them firsthand about what it is that you're working on and how they can be finding value if they, swipe up or go to the link in your bio to get something. So all three of these eventually land people to this landing page. And this landing page can be literally anything, but I put the top 4 most converting landing pages that work well with Instagram. So the first one is an opt-in page. So this is if you're giving away, a freebie, if they put in their email, maybe if it's a free consultation, whatever it is, it's pretty much an opt-in page. The second one is like an actual sales page. So this can be your website, an actual funnel where people, scroll through your website and see what it is that you're about and how they can learn from you. The third thing is an application or a scheduled calendar. So these two have actually worked the best for me. So once again, if you're trying to sell a coaching program, a consulting program, a service, and you're trying to just get on the phone with people, you can literally put that link in your bio as your direct scheduling and booking link, or an application page that asks them a few questions to qualify who they are and kind of learn more about their goals. Then once they hit submit, then it directs to the actual scheduling page. Works really well. So pretty much all you're doing is taking one step out, because you don't have to direct them to an entire different landing page and then another landing page. Because if they're go to your website or opt in and they don't resonate specifically with what they see, or I don't know, maybe they just got distracted, it's less likely that they're going to click another button to, either type in their email or do something else. It pretty much takes the process out. And this is something that you can test and try to see, what works best for you. But pretty much, this is a quick visual strategy that you guys can be using on your Instagram to start monetizing and, gathering leads and emails and everything like that. So I know I just went through a ton of information, but hopefully this is really beneficial for you guys. The gist of it is the key takeaways I would say from this training is to identify what your story is, get really good at creating content, and being very cohesive with your brand on Instagram. Once you have those 3 down, then you can really be working on the back end strategy on how to actually monetize and grow your accounts a lot more rapidly and efficiently. But what truly builds a good, authoritative brand is, once again, being cohesive, being consistent, and being very clear and genuine about what it is that you're doing. Because at the end of the day, people resonate with people, which is why I always talk about build out your personal brand, because people buy from people. They don't actually buy your product or service. Like truly, your product or service may be the best in the world, but they're going to buy from you because they truly, truly love what it is that you're about and what you're passionate about. So once again, hopefully you guys found this very valuable. If you guys want to connect with me, the best way to do it is obviously on Instagram. You can find me at the Sabah Ali, or if you want to directly just talk with me, you can shoot me an email at sabah@sabahali.com. So keep on hustling, guys. Keep on grinding. And as always, make sure that you guys stay unforgettable. I will catch you guys later. Bye.
Wow, Sabah, that is awesome. Thank you so much for all the wisdom, all the tips and advices that you give. And thank you for being a part of the Successful Marketing Summit. I would love to have you back next time. And just thank you so much for sharing with us. I know I enjoyed it. I got a lot of information from it, and I am just certain that the rest of the audience did too. Thank you so much, and have a really, really nice evening.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.